Hello neighbors, this is Brad Dennis from the North Albany Neighborhood Association. It was good to see you last night at our meeting at Oak Grove Elementary School. We had hoped to have an internet connection so that we could demonstrate some things during the meeting, but that didn't work out. So the purpose of this video today is to walk through some of the navigational steps to get to various places that I think you might be interested in seeing. We will be emailing you the link to the Google Drive folder that we have set up for you, members of NANA, to get into. And so I wanted to show you here. Let's start in the housing area folder. So I'm going to double click on that. We have a spreadsheet or a Google sheet here of the various housing bills that are being considered by the state legislature. And if you double click on this and open it, it will open up the list of spreadsheets. In my opinion, the most important one is House Bill 2138. It had its first hearing on March 25th, but it's likely going to have a second hearing because we're being told that there's a second amendment coming. But if you will click on this link right here, it will open up the web page for that particular bill. And we come to the overview page. If you want to read the text of the bill, you would come here and download the PDF. I think it's 40 some pages, so you may not want to do that. But we can look at the amendments, and right now there's what's called a -1 amendment, and again we're expecting a second amendment to be issued sometime in the next few weeks. If we want to look at testimony that's already been issued, we click on the testimony tab, and if you'd like to sort this, you can sort it by submitter, so you can look at all the people's testimony, and you would just click on the link here and it would open it up. If you'd like to sort by the position, you can click on that column heading, and so here's all the people who are neutral, all the people who are opposed, and there's lots of opposition. And finally you get down here to where there's some support. There's not nearly as much support as there is opposition. You can also sort by the city or the organization. And so we can see, okay, 1,000 Friends of Oregon, that came to the very top that they support it. And so here are all of the submittals from people from Albany. And so good job, everybody, for submitting your testimony. And I noticed down here, so for example, in Bend, housing is so expensive in Bend, I guess that they really want this middle housing over there. It's like everybody supports it, it seems like. If I wanted to submit testimony and I'm not able to because the deadline's passed, you have 48 hours from the time of the public hearing. So because there's a second public hearing coming, there should be a second testimony period that opens. And if I wanted to click testimony, it wouldn't allow me to do that. And if I wanted to register to testify, either in person in Salem or through online with my webcam and microphone, I could register here. And again, we can't do that right now. If I come back to the overview, we can see that the current committee is the House Committee on Housing and Homelessness. And then it's also interesting to come down here and look at the history. So again, we can see that it was at its first reading, it was referred to the committee, and then there was a public hearing held. And this is interesting. If we click on this right here, it gives us a nice summary page of this particular bill. And there's some if you want to see who are all the people who signed up to testify, you can click on that. I mean, here's my name. Most of the people on here did not get an opportunity to testify, even though they signed up, because there were so many people and there was so little time. And I'm thankful that because I was submitting this on behalf of North Albany Neighborhood Association. I think that's the only reason I was selected to present. Also, we can see that this hearing was on March the 3rd, and if I come over here for March the 3rd, which is right here, and I click the recorded content, it will actually replay the video from the entire hearing. Now, our hearing for this particular bill, because there was multiple bills that were being heard in this same session, our hearing came at about 27 minutes. And so if I
developers to turn 70 of the 145 homes.
If I come on up here to, there we go, to about 27 minutes, these were the people giving this presentation, and this was well worth watching this portion of it. If you're so inclined to watch my testimony, I was up around the 1 hour mark, something like that. But all the bills work this way. You know, you can, and again, you're seeing all the testimony here that people submitted. So if, for example, I'm just going to randomly pick, testimony from Doug Cook. I have no idea who that is, but anyhow, you can read his testimony. So again, that's House Bill 2138. This one right here is the bill that Representative Bosshart Davis introduced. It has not yet been scheduled for a hearing, and this would make it so that there would be grants provided to local governments to support housing infrastructure. So we talk about the road issues in North Albany. That's what the purpose of this is for. And again, if I wanted to click on that bill and I could come look at that particular bill, it's only one page, so it's really easy. But I see here it would set aside $50 million for infrastructure. So that'd be one that I would be in favor of. Again, it's been referred to committee, but there's no scheduled hearings on it yet. Now, if this is a bill you'd like to follow, you can come up here and you can e-subscribe so that you're notified by email, and you would basically put in your email address, you would type in the letters that you see here and click submit, and then you would be assured that when action has been scheduled for this bill, you will be notified of that. And then here's a bill right here that Senator Gelser-Bluen has introduced. It has a hearing coming up next week on Monday, March 17th. It expands the radius for giving notices for middle housing land division. Currently there's only a 100-foot radius surrounding projects that are proposed for middle housing. This would expand it to 300 feet, although as we saw with the Riverwood Crossing subdivision, it really didn't matter. It could have been the entire city of Albany. The fact is, it was essentially being approved without any way that the public could contest it. And I understand that although we did contest it and had a hearing, we were the first petition in the entire state to challenge middle housing development. But again, if I click here on this, we can go in and look at this one. Yeah, I guess I'd actually have to look at the text to see. I know that it's 300 feet. And when you look at these bills, things that are in bold are what is being added. So this would be amending ORS 197.365, and the change is what's here in bold. So you can look for things that are in bold, or if there's things being deleted from a bill, it would be in square brackets for something being removed. She has designated this bill as an emergency, and so if it is passed, an emergency bill, I don't believe can be challenged by a petition by so many registered voters, and that it also takes effect immediately on passage rather than taking effect 90 days after the end of the session. So in this case, the emergency status is probably justified. These are bills on housing, and now we'll move on to the next topic. So back in our public files, housing items, we've put some other things in here. This was kind of an interesting article from the Democrat Herald in 2011. It kind of talks about the history of the health hazard annexation. So that's interesting to read. Now, if we come back up to the public files and let's go look at, we can look at meeting minutes. Meeting minutes will go in here. So this is how you can keep track of what we're doing if you're not able to attend the meeting. And of course, we hope you can attend the meeting. Under transportation items, here's where we had information on the transportation meeting that we held on November 19th. And so here we list all the people who attended. It was a rather small gathering. We were limited on the space that we had. It was intended just to be sort of a kickoff meeting with further meetings on transportation to come. And so we're certainly hopeful that if you have an interest in transportation, you'll sign up for the transportation committee to look at this a little more carefully. So you can read through all the things that we talked about. Let's get back into transportation. We also have the consultant study that was done for the city of Albany and also for ODOT. This is very interesting to read through this. I believe it's 9 pages, and they talk about all of the possible things that could be corrected to make it easier to navigate, get across the bridge, get through downtown Albany and on your way to I-5 or wherever you're wanting to go. So this is well worth reading. So I'll just leave it at that. Let's go to the City of Albany website. And from the Albany website, let's, I notice here speed camera FAQs. That would be interesting. But if I come down here to building and planning, and then I come over here to planning, and then I come here and click on the climate friendly communities. This is what I mentioned in the meeting last night. There are public hearings coming up. The first one on Monday, March 17th. That's the Planning Commission meeting. And by the way, there's an opening to serve on the Planning Commission. And if you're interested, please contact Michael Thompson, who is our city councilor. Let me just detour here. By the way, if I hover over your government and I come down here, I can click on Albany City Council. And of course, here we see that for Ward 1, both Steph Newton and Michael Thompson both represent us. And so we can be contacting them for issues that we have, related to North Albany. Now, I'm going to, and by the way, if you want to see meeting materials for upcoming meetings, you can click here. And so this week, it was kind of unusual. The city council meeting was Monday night. Normally they're on Wednesdays, but you can click on the agenda packets. These are usually available about a week before the city council meeting. So you can see what is going to be talked about to see if you're interested in attending. All right, so I'm going to come back here to the Communities Project. So again, there are the 2 public hearings, Planning Commission and at the City Council meeting on April 9th. The map that shows where this is going to be proposed, I'll click on that here in just a second, but one other thing that catches my eye right here, parking reform. Effective almost 2 years ago, the city no longer requires parking for any development. So imagine all these middle housing units. They do not have to have a garage or parking. This can be forcing more cars onto the streets and making it more difficult for emergency vehicles to get through and whatnot. So let's look here at the climate friendly area map. And so there's Site C here in North Albany. There's other ones. They're trying to locate these by where there is shopping areas. So I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit. And we can see that, let's see here. Here's North Albany Road. So it's basically, I'm not sure what this brown means here. Let's look at the legend. Mixed use commercial. Okay. So this Site C, to me, this looks like where the garden center was. So potentially there could be housing put in here so that it's walkable distance to, the store, to, physical therapy over here. I think there's tax preparer, veterinarian, some restaurants. So they're wanting to designate this as a climate-friendly area to really focus and put very dense housing in this area. This is what the purpose of the planning or the public hearings will be, say the one next week or the one in April. So I wanted to make sure you were aware of that. Now, let's come back to the main City of Albany website. I'm just clicking here on the logo up here. And if I hover over business and development, I come down here to InfoHub Maps. I wanted you to be aware of this. There's a lot of information you can get about various parts of the city. So here we are, we're welcome. I'm going to go ahead and click enter. I'm going to zoom out here just a little bit. So the city limits are the black dotted line, and of course here we are in North Albany. So the golf course is not part of the city of Albany, as well as all of this farmland and whatnot out here. But we can see Spring Hill. This is part of the city. We come up here. Here's Quarry Road. Of course, the country club. It's not in the city limits. Here's Quarry Road. The Volstead property is this area up in here. It's not within the city limits, and it's also not within the urban growth boundary. It's maybe hard to see this, but the pink, there's pink, which is the urban growth boundary, and then the black dotted line is the city limits. And I believe there is a legend up here. And so, yeah, we can see city limits and the urban growth boundary. They're superimposed here. There is no area in North Albany in which the city could expand because the urban growth boundary and the city limit is the same. That's different than, say, in East Albany. There's room where there could be a petition of some sort to annex this area and bring it into the city of Albany. It's in the urban growth boundary. And the same is true down here, some in South Albany and some in West Albany. So this is interesting to look at this. I'm going to come back here to layers and show you some of the other things that you can do here in the layers. I'd like to look at the floodplain. So I'm going to click here on floodplain, and also I'm going to expand this and we can see what else is available. So here in North Albany, so here's Spring Hill, here's North Albany Road. So this yellow area, or kind of buff colored, I guess, is, I believe, the 500-year floodplain. And so again, I'm clicking on legend and I'm seeing that the 100-year floodplain is in the blue and the 500-year floodplain is in the buff. So that's interesting to look at that. You can actually, zoom right on in here and see the individual, tax lots, for example. I know we've talked about the intersection of Thornton Lake and North Albany Road. This is where the traffic cameras are going in. There's a swath of 100-year floodplain that comes through here. We've talked about this piece of land, which is, currently I suppose could be developed. If I click on it, it actually will show me who owns that. Oh, you know what? I was on the wrong parcel. That's North Albany Elementary. This was the parcel up here that I can see, who owns it, and I assume this is a link. You could click on that. So anyhow, any of these parcels you can click on and see who owns it. If I'm going to go ahead and click on this one, it'll take me out to the Benton County website, the assessor's website, and it will show me, the various information. You can look at past tax statements, which there are none because it's a school. All right, so let's come back here to layers, and I'm going to zoom back out here a little bit, and I'm going to uncheck the floodplain. And I wanted to look at, instead, public infrastructure. And let's look at public infrastructure, but I'm going to uncheck water, and I'm going to uncheck stormwater, and I'm going to uncheck easements. So all I'm looking at is where is the sewer serving properties. And so here in North Albany, the sewers went in to a good part of Albany, or North Albany, back in 1992 about, but all the area over here on Spring Hill is not currently served. Evidently, that area was not in a health hazard area, and so their septic tanks were still working okay. So there is no sewer in a lot of this area. And if we want, I'm going to uncheck that, and I'm going to check water utilities. We can see where city water lines go. So as we come out Thornton Lake Drive, some of these parcels down here are not being served by city water, so you assume that they're on wells. So anyhow, I'd encourage you to explore this, and especially if you've got questions, is to come in here, and again, if you zoom way in, you can find your tax lot and just click on it. If you zoom in far enough, I guess it's even showing you the size water line that is going in there. So if we come up, for example, North Albany Road, and I'm going to just keep zooming in here. It's a 20-inch ductile iron water line. And this is interesting. 30-inch, I don't know exactly what that is. Maybe that's, that might be storm sewer or sanitary sewer. Hard to say. So anyhow, that is it. Again, we'll be emailing you the link to get into the Nana Google Drive, and hopefully from there you'll take a look at the housing information and the transportation information, and look at the minutes as we put them out there. So thanks again, and if you missed last night's meeting, we're planning to have another one in the latter part of April. So thanks again. See you later.